We are Firm Somosa. This is Adrienne Feinberg and Angela Basara. We initially started with two brands. They were Soft and Solo. Overall, we targeted the shoppers, savers, and explorers. For brand Soft, we specifically targeted the shoppers and the savers. And for Solo, we targeted the explorers and the shoppers. We were always shooting for a brand awareness greater than 70% for our customer segments. For both of our brands, for the most part, we had a brand awareness of greater than 70%, but unfortunately, our purchase intentions for our customer segments did not mirror the 70% for brand awareness that we were shooting for, and the purchase intentions remained low overall for Soft and a little bit for Solo. So in the end, we ended up ranking fourth out of the four firms that we were competing against. For brand Soft, unfortunately, we did have to eliminate it at period 4, but this did provide us with some time and some leftover money to be able to formulate brand Soul in period 5, which was launched in period 6. And this new product was actually extremely successful and ended up having a 48.7% purchase intention with the explorers in its very first period, which shows that it would have been a success, hopefully later on down the road, if we were able to continue with the marketing mix. For Soft, because we were able to get rid of it, it did free us up some extra money, but unfortunately we got rid of it a little late in the game, and it did cause some damage overall to our stock market price index. For brand Solo, we did have an overall increase in revenue with relatively low inventory holding costs throughout the periods. And as soon as we got rid of Soft, it actually gave us some extra money during that period to push more money towards Solo's marketing and commercials team's expense for the explorers and the shoppers. That increased revenue a little bit more in the very next period. Overall, we did see that we started out with kind of a relatively low in comparison commercial team expense compared to some of the other firms. We initially tried to focus on the mass merchandisers distribution channel for both of our firms, but just didn't quite put enough commercial allocation towards the commercial teams overall. One of the main problems with Soft, besides the low revenue, was an overproduction of the amount of units during each period. This ended up creating a very high inventory holding cost for Soft. And we even actually, during one of the periods, we completely stopped production of this product completely to try to reduce the inventory holding cost. But even with that, we were not able to increase the retail sales of it. So the inventory holding costs just carried over from one period to the next until we finally realized, like, okay, we need to go ahead and just get rid of this product. It's unsuccessful, and we can start focusing on something else. Overall, because we hung on to Soft, it did hurt Solo, and then we started Solo a little bit late in the game. And so we did have an overall decline for our firm. The firm definitely lost some momentum during period 4, but we did try to do a pretty quick turnaround by introducing a new product that was incredibly successful during period 6. This did lead to an overall improvement in the firm in period 6. So we are hoping that in the long run, if we were able to carry Solo and Soul throughout further periods, we would have had a marked increase in revenue as well as the stock market price index to be a more successful firm. As you can see, we started out with a stock market price index of 1,009. You can see that during period 3 and period 5, there is a marked decline. And then in period 6 is when we were able to focus on Solo and then launch the new product Soul. And you can see that we had a very large increase in the stock market price index just in that one period. So we're hoping that in the long run, the company would actually be successful, even though we kind of got a little late in the game start. The same reflection can be seen with the total market share percent units. We started out about 19%, dropped all the way down to 5% in the 5th period, and then increased an entire percentage in just 1 period after that. For the overall performance of firms' revenue and earnings before taxes, obviously firm R and firm M did the best. And we were at the very end, although we did have a marked increase in revenue at the very, very end. The overall performance of firms' production, marketing, and R&D, we obviously did not produce or sell as much as the other firms, but the hope is that the new product that we had, along with the other stable product, would lead us to be a more successful firm in the long run. Overall, you can see that brand Rock did incredibly well through all 6 periods. You can also see that Move and Most have an increase during period 4 through period 6 that gave them a significant advantage. For our products, we introduced Soul during period 4, so it doesn't have the same tracking as the rest of them. And then you can see where we also dropped Soft off completely because it was not a successful product. So you do get to see a little bit of trend in each individual sales throughout all 6 periods, and obviously Solo was doing fairly well the entire time. It didn't have any incredibly large increase in revenue from one period to the next, but it was a stable product. What we learned from all this, having high brand awareness is incredibly important, but what's even more important is having high purchase intention along with it. We have learned that setting aside money for commercial teams and advertising is just as important, if not more important, than having a price that's set where you think that it needs to be, or even having a product that you think that people will want to purchase. Just being able to have that product out there and have it targeted at a very specific consumer segment, and really pushing the sale of that product with commercial teams and with advertising shows to be incredibly successful. And we hesitated a little at first to put a bunch of money at those things, not really sure how much commercial teams we really needed for each product. And in the long run, it's incredibly important to just take whatever you can and try to push that product as much as possible. We also learned that controlling production is incredibly important. It's just as important to have enough product to be able to sell as to make sure that you don't end up holding on to that product from one period to the next. And we saw that, even though we tried to completely get rid of the production of Soft to try to sell off what we had, we ended up getting left over with a lot of inventory that hurt our inventory holding costs. In the long run, if you see a brand that seems non-profitable, go ahead and cut ties with it immediately. That way you're not holding on to a product that's not doing well. 6 periods go incredibly fast, and before you know it, you think that you might be able to turn a product around, and it's just not able to get there. For Soft, we just were never able to get the purchase intentions to be where they needed to be, and the other brands blocked out any further competition that we had with the Shoppers and the Savers, and it was just an unsuccessful product. If you think that you might have a new successful product, go ahead and launch it. Because our inventory holding cost was high, we didn't exactly have the money to be able to start a new product, so we had to completely get rid of one to be able to start one, and that took a little bit of time. With that new product, when we had that down period in between when we were able to launch it and when we got rid of brand Soft, we did take all of our money that we could and we pushed it towards the commercial teams and advertising. And then for the next period, we took even more money, and because it was a brand new product, and pushed that towards Soul to get it out there, and it showed to be extremely successful. On its, like I said, on its very first period, it had a purchase intentions of 48.7 for the Explorers, and completely knocked the other brands out of the realm for that one. Like we said, eliminate a non-profitable brand early. It saves on cost. It gives room to start on a new product and see what people are really looking for in a product, instead of just what we think that people are looking for. Always increase your commercial teams whenever you can. That way, not only do you have the product to be able to sell that you think that people want, but you've got people out there who are really pushing for people to purchase it and to really find out exactly what they're looking for in a product. This overall will increase the market share and brand contribution and increase the stock market price index. We really do feel that if the stable product Solo that we had, and with the new product Soul, if we had had a little bit more time, we probably would not have ended up fourth out of the 4 firms. But in the long run, we did learn that don't hold on to a failing brand. Focus on commercial teams, focus on advertising, give people more of what they want and less of what you think they want, and be extremely aggressive in your push of your products instead of just holding back and just keeping an eye on things. Just be as aggressive as possible, make as many moves as possible, and don't just expect that because you believe that you have a good product that the market that you're focusing on will purchase that product. Like we said, focus on 2 segments, define them, understand them, provide them what they want. Don't try to hit every single segment because some people are just not going to want your product. Forecast sales, don't overproduce. We learned firsthand that inventory holding costs can hurt a product a lot. But at the same time, you don't want to run out of a product because then the customers that you may have had won't be there, and you won't even know if you have them because you don't have the product to be able to sell it, and they'll go somewhere else. Price, it's not always about providing the lowest price or the highest price. We did see that for the Sabres, they specifically wanted a economical product, whereas the Explorers, that's not their biggest concern. They may be focusing a little more on performance and convenience, as well as some of the other attributes of a product, but really focus on the ideal values. For place, commercial teams are everything. Even if you have the greatest product, if you don't have people out there pushing it, people may not be willing to purchase it. So all these things go hand in hand with each other. For a promotion, the advertising is incredibly important. Even if it's not for a new product, just keeping that stable product out there on the market and constantly reminding people that it's out there is incredibly important. And then for a new product, taking everything you can and really getting it out there, because you're the new person on the block that people may not be interested in purchasing your product because they've already got something that they think is valuable and is what they're looking for. But like I said, overall, we ended up fourth. We think that with the new products in the stable one, we would have done much better. But the only time will tell.